We went from like 9 copywriters to 1.5 plus AI as an example, right? So it is wildly good. Everyone should be using it. If you're listening to this and you're less than 10 employees, you don't realize how much you can be doing with AI. If you build out good systems, frameworks, and SOPs in your company, you can kind of rival like having 20, 30 employees not using it. And I see many billionaires and ultra successful entrepreneurs, more successful than me, really saying if you don't adapt, you probably won't survive. And it's obviously a bold statement, but I do think there's some truth to that, just like the internet all over again.
I'm really excited to have today on today's podcast, Rudy Mawer, who's been a good friend, and I've watched him over the last number of years doing some incredible things. Let me give you a quick background on Rudy. He's a serial entrepreneur and the CEO of multiple brands. He has a team of 70 people, and he's also partners with Kevin Harrington in the Marketing Capital Group. He's operated large U.S. brands, and I don't know if you remember when Rudy actually, with his partner Ty Lopez and Oxmoor, they acquired. It was Pier 1, Dress Barn, Steinmart, Frankly Mint, and a number of other brands. And Rudy ran those brands. At the same time, he was still running his agency and doing speaking throughout the country. So it was a crazy period of time for him. He's been building multi-million dollars of businesses at the age of 26. He is brilliant at marketing and media buying and creative. And the key thing there is strategy, and he knows how to build teams. His agency, for the focus on that, has dealt with work with gold medal, Olympic gold medal, gold medalist, which is very timely for just now, WWE, NFL, sports chancy, and iconic. He deals with a lot of celebrities. And the thing that I just saw on Amazon and on social media, that Rudy just launched a TV series called 60 Day Hustle, and you can watch it on Amazon Prime. So that's a little bit on my friend Rudy, and welcome, Rudy.
Thank you. It's good to be here, and thanks for reminding me of all I've done the last few years.
And so what we're going to do is I know we only have 20 minutes with each other, and usually we get I go a little bit longer than that. So what I'd love to do is to compress this and really go deep and go fast. So first of all, this is the Deals and Exits podcast. So what I love to do is, and for me, is about acquisitions, mergers, but it's also about strategic deal, brand deals, licensings. So everything that, and obviously exits is exit. So let me jump in and let's talk about when you went and acquired these iconic brands, and I think it was during the beginning of COVID, of Pier 1, Dress Barn, Steinmart, Frankly Mint. And were you part of the acquisition process, or you were brought in to run the businesses after they were done?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. So, that whole thing actually came about from, another partnership deal. So originally I had I had a big agency, and that's when I think me and you first met. I was running that at the time, and slowly growing my personal brand, through that, and I ended up partnering with Ty on an agency way before all the deals, because he had obviously a massive following, and a lot of people always want done for you, right? He teaches social media marketing, and a lot of people say, well, can you just do it for me? So there was a natural synergy there. And fast forward to today, which I'm sure we'll talk about, I now do that with lots of big celebrities, from Shark Tank and A-listers and everything, where we run their businesses. But I did, had a partnership with Ty, and then he ended up going into this new direction with Alex, and that was all of his ideas and stuff, and him and Alex started partnering to acquire these brands and raising capital. I wasn't too involved in that side. I was more just naturally, because I had a big team and I was pretty good at marketing and running stuff, that I started to chip in and help with some ads and marketing, and then before you know it, help with some operations, and before you know it, help run a brand or two, and before you know it, help run the holding company and all the brands for a little bit. And then I stepped out a couple of years ago, not on bad terms, just that, I still had my own business that, I was still trying to keep alive behind the scenes with my team of 40, 50 people at the time. What started with me helping on the ad side a little in the Shopify stores turned into me running everything. I didn't want to get too far away from my own brand and my own mission and my own team. So when they stopped doing a lot of acquisitions, I kind of stepped back out into my own stuff. And, we've grown that to 20 million in revenue in the last 2.5 years since. So that was great. And done a lot of big partnerships, and my own brand's grown a ton. And I just did this Amazon Prime show over the last year. So yeah.
Well, that's amazing for your agencies. We're going to pivot that in a second. Just to understand this. So when the acquisitions were done and when you came in and took over those brands, was it with their teams came over, were in place, or was it all new employees?
Yeah, it's a hybrid, right? And every deal, every deal structure is different, right? And, obviously because of the setup here, we were kind of able to pick and choose, right? Obviously we kept, obviously some of them were billion-dollar brands, right? So you didn't keep the whole team. You kept the maybe C-suite or executives, team leads, and some core staff. And then, it kind of worked well because, we brought in some of my agency and staff, and that could fluctuate up and down based on demand. A couple of my staff I moved over full-time just to support like Shopify developers, for example, because it was so heavy lift. And then we obviously built a remote team too of, a lot of these big brands are bloated, right? And entrepreneurs know how to run brands, I guess, with a leaner, smaller remote team. So we started implementing that too.
Yeah, it's really interesting. When you build your teams over time and you're running your brand, you have a certain way of doing things. And so when it says, I would need to cut my overhead or I want to get thinner, it's tough to even think about how it can be. You think about one or two people, but people are overworked. So how can we do that versus when it is a total new organization and rebuilding from scratch, there is different ways to do things that a lot of times are better, faster, smarter.
Yeah. And even, one of our businesses we took up to about in the last year we took up to 120 staff. And now because I've moved more on the celebrity direction, we wanted to make that team leaner, and we've cut that down now to like 65, 70. And it's ironic because it works just as well. And we brought in more VAs, we brought in more automations, we streamlined processes. We said no to a few things, and it's, it's like half the payroll, and it can do just as much gross revenue. So it's always, like your perception of reality. If you're open-minded and you can change some stuff around, it's amazing what you can do.
I remember that when Atlantic Coast Brands got to over 500 employees, and we were really in the HR game and really didn't have to have time to spend on building brands and marketing and the essence of what we built this company to do. And so it got so crazy. So we made that decision to automate reporting, our tech stack, and then outsource wherever it wasn't a core function. And it took us several years to get down to 26 people. But with that size, we were having a lot of fun, and we were great at managing outsource, our call centers, our fulfillment centers, and and even a number of agencies. But they were integrated with our data stack, and it was such a massive paradigm shift. But we were able to focus on our zone of genius and have fun doing that.
I think you always, because I went up to 120 staff in my own business because we were really scaling, and I followed what is you think is a simple equation of, more people, better people equals more output, more productivity, and more growth. And then you actually realize that, you lose control at some point of the quality and the stuff that got you to that point, right? And that's kind of where we got to, where we realized, more people isn't actually equaling more productivity. And then when we actually started to remove some people, even senior people, we realized, how far from the SOP and process and core values that department was starting to go. And even though you reduced it significantly, it actually functions better with 2 people versus 6 because now it's doing what it should be doing. And I think you can only learn that from experience, sadly, but it's a valuable skill to learn.
It sure is. So let me pivot for a second and let's talk about your current agency strategy. Now, there's and the name of your core agency is what?
Well, so we have a few businesses now. So we still have my old agency from many years ago, ROI Machines, that kind of, I stepped out of that when COVID hit and really focused on my personal brand and this new holding company called More Capital. My last name is Moore. like the word suggests, it rolls off, right? More capital, more money. So I felt it had a good ring, and it serves as a holding company where we have my own brand, we have sub brands under there. We took equity in a few brands, and then in the last year and a half or so, we developed a side entity called More Partners, where we partner with celebrities and again, that's just a behind-the-scenes holding company, but we partner with celebrities, some of the sharks from Shark Tank, A-list celebrities, gold medalists, movie stars, actors, and we build them brands, whether it's coaching, consulting, education brands like I've done, or e-commerce brands that we're building to sell.
That's great. And how did that model typically work?
Well, we kind of created a bit of our own model just from the experience that I've done over so many years. So, the short answer is 50-50 partnerships, full brand new businesses, LLCs, bank accounts, the whole shebang, because we're building it to sell. So we want it to be clean, right? And obviously, pretty much with most of these celebrities, if everything goes well, we're doing millions of dollars in the first year. Right, in the first year of business. So also from an accounting standpoint, it's good to be all segmented and clean. So they're full businesses, right? And there's more upfront legwork and risk, right? Because a couple of them that don't work out, you spend all that time and stuff set up, but that's part of it. So yeah, 50-50 partnerships. We run a lot of the day-to-day of the business. That's why we grew to 120 staff, because not only were we running my business that got up to about 1.2 million a month in revenue, so about 15 million a year run rate in sales, but we were also running, you imagine 4 or 5 celebrity brands too, so you're kind of running 5 businesses. So yeah.
So it's a 50-50 partnership, and I guess they're totally separate businesses. Is there one that you'd like to talk about?
There's a few that, we can talk about for confidentiality. Some of them we'll call celebrity A, B, and C. But yeah, most of the ones we've took off recently, and I actually taught this at my last event. Like, there's a lot of power, I think, and people miss this in what I kind of like to kind of horizontally integrate winning formulas into different brands, right? So for us, for example, we have a really great formula for building educational brands, right? All the way from free content, paid content, to high ticket coaching experiences, even up to $100,000 offers. So like, we've taken that model and now we've gone to some of the biggest entrepreneurs in the world. And again, I'll call them celebrity A, B, and C, and built multi-million-dollar businesses in the first year by just using our system with their brand behind it, right? And it's almost basically like a license deal, but it's a partnership. And I think that's such a the license world is not abnormal in the e-commerce world, right? Where someone's selling candles, Yankee Candles partners with Disney, right? It's very common, right? And this clothing line partners with blah blah movie, and now there's some Avengers t-shirts, right? Very common. But in the entrepreneurial world, I think most people don't understand it or utilize it or see its potential. And for us, it's like, it's just added diversity. And we also got to a point where my brand was doing, over $1 million a month. And I was like, if I take this to 2, 3, 4 million a month, it's great. But how do I exit from it, right? I don't want to sell my brand. So I think it's better to build celebrities are getting higher multiples because of the celebrity name and the unicorn companies that are being built out of these celebrity brands. But also they're much more exitable than my own brand, right? So my own brand will keep growing and it's great. It pays the bills and creates opportunities like this Amazon Prime show. But these celebrity deals are way easier to exit, way easier to grow out the gate because of the 10 years of credibility the celebrity has and the millions of followers. And, you can raise money into them easier and exit out of them much easier with a higher multiple.
And then typically, do they have programs or courses or curriculum, or are you starting with them saying, I'm going to develop it with you?
Bit of both. Yeah, bit of both. Most of them have some of it, but it's kind of mishmashed all over the place over years. So we're like, like one celebrity, again, a famous motivational speaker, I won't say who it is, but been doing it for decades. had lots of great stuff out there, but we always pride ourselves on creating quality products, even for celebrities. So, we dedicated probably 200 hours with one of our copywriters and marketers over 2 months to take everything they'd done online, and we built a 300 or 200 page workbook, and they were physically printed, $50 a workbook that we gave as part of the program, and it took people through a curriculum with worksheets, and then we certified them and added in a live event. So a really high quality product that they hadn't really done fully at that capacity before, even after decades, in the business. So yeah, we're, and that's just the educational coaching side. We also, we have brands that are more on the e-com side. One celebrity I have a really strict NDA with, but super famous, probably one of the 20 most famous actors in the world, billion-dollar franchise behind them. Help there with like clothing lines and merchandising lines. So we're trying to do a lot over the next couple of years on the e-com side, food and beverage, because I think there's a lot of potential there if you can get it right for the multiple, with celebrities and food and beverage. You got like two powerhouses, skincare and merch, all those things.
Love the model. Love being able to, when the model that you have is basically someone has a lot of wind behind their back, but they're not leveraging it. They're just stuck because they're not facing the right way. And basically you're focusing where the wind is and the energy, and you're just directing them and giving them the right sales. And then it's a man. Dennis, you talked about that in his lighthouse strategy. It's a little different model, which is pure licensing, where he'll find the head of whoever solar panels is and the guy that's been doing this for 25 years, and then build an agency, basically white label an agency and build it behind them and give it to the guy. And therefore it's that guy's agency, and he's able to market and sell and leading it.
They're worth 100 mil already, or 50 mil or whatever. But, just like us with entrepreneurs, people that are worth 100 mil, you sometimes think, why are they doing it? But the entrepreneurial DNA is we can't say no, right? Like if there's an opportunity to make a few more million and grow our brand, and someone's going to do it all for us, and we just got to film 4 times a year, then even if you're worth 100 mil, you're still going to say yes to that because you like the idea of having your own t-shirt line, or you like the idea, your ego wants you to have a big community on Instagram, or your ego wants you to have, and not just ego, obviously you like the idea and you want cool brands, and you're an entrepreneur. And if someone that has great credibility like me and a track record is going to basically do it all for you, and you just have to promote it and smile for the camera, then it's a bit of a no-brainer offer. And one thing I didn't mention is with a lot of these big celebrities, we even do guarantees. So we're really lowering their downsides and taking more risk for us, where, we'll guarantee 500,000 sales, or we'll pay it out of pocket. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I haven't heard anyone promise that.
Well, I teach creating, in marketing for years, I've taught create an irresistible offer. So I go, how do I do this? How do I do this for this? And yeah, it's like, and some of the big A-listers, honestly, it was needed too, because they're used to book deals, right? Where they get like an upfront signing fee, or like they get an upfront payment for like big publishing deals. So to get in with some of the big A-listers, they do want a guarantee or an advance. Most of them want an advance, and then I kind of downsell them to like, well, I'm not going to give you 500,000 right now, but I'll guarantee 500,000 and give you the first 500,000 of profit, and then my profit share will kick in after. So we'll do stuff like that.
Wow, that's absolutely brilliant. Final question here: how is AI impacting? Well, let's start with, since you are doing so much in the e-com world, how's it impacting, and how do you see it impacting e-com?
Yeah, AI is crazy. So even in my own brand, we actually started using it almost 2 years ago, and then really ramped up when ChatGPT came out. And then we actually started teaching it to all of our clients in our 25K, 50K coaching program. And then last summer, we actually developed an AI training for entrepreneurs. We've had over 300,000 people register for that training, and tens of thousands go through it. And we've done millions of dollars selling that training. So I literally just got off a live call before this where I was teaching, I teach AI and I teach marketing, but a lot of what I'm teaching now, I'm teaching how to fill in the blanks with AI because I think it's powerful tools for entrepreneurs. Yeah, I think it's going to shape the future over the next 10 years. I mean, it's going to be as big as the internet all over again, honestly. And especially, we don't need it quite as much because we have 60 staff, but that's one of the reasons we actually could cut down to 60, 70 staff is we went from like 9 copywriters to 1.5 plus AI as an example, right? So it is wildly good. Everyone should be using it. If you're listening to this and you're less than 10 employees, you don't realize how much you can be doing with AI. If you build out good systems, frameworks, and SOPs in your company, you can kind of rival like having 20, 30 employees not using it. And I see many billionaires and ultra successful entrepreneurs, more successful than me, really saying if you don't adapt, you probably won't survive. And that's obviously a bold statement, but I do think there's some truth to that, just like the internet all over again.
Yeah, and I view that most businesses, the way they operate, are going to be reimagined. Most industries will be reimagined. What was impossible is possible. But people have to rethink how they manage, how they run their business. If we look going back to when the first Fords were coming off the assembly line, the Model Ts were coming off the assembly line. So people are trying to think, what is the first, second, and third order impact? What people might have been able to say is, wow, people will be probably traveling further, so we need to be building and extending gas stations. Well, that's the easy one. What most people didn't see is, well, people are traveling and there's only guest houses along the way. So people need to be able to, now that they're going out in the cities, millions of people for longer and longer distances, they need something more than gas. They need a place to stay. And that's where the first motels were created, the third order impact. What we're not thinking through, and I don't think it's tough for us to see it's happening so fast, is what is the third order impact in our business and what opportunities are there because of AI. So I think that's really cool. Well, I know I committed to 20 minutes. We're at the end of our time. I really appreciate you.
Thanks.